Hello everyone, my name is Don and welcome to TimeSplitters, or as I like to call it, GoldenEye Adjacent. It was a launch title for the PlayStation 2 in the year 2000 and it was designed by Free Radical. If that name sounds familiar, then yes, these guys actually did work on GoldenEye 007 and Perfect Dark and all those rare games. They also worked on the cancelled Star Wars Battlefront 3 game before EA took over. Fucking EA. Anyway, TimeSplitters is a first-person shooter that's in a similar vein to all those Nintendo 64 rareware FPSs, but this game actually takes advantage of being on the PlayStation 2, therefore you have a controller with 2 sticks as opposed to 1, which makes aiming in this game way easier, and trust me, you aren't going to need to aim for certain body parts, kinda similar to Dead Space, or how Dead Space is similar to this, but not quite as in-depth. Now here's the character select. Each time period will have a different set of characters, usually with the choice between a lady or a gent.
Yes.
Killed his liver way quicker than he did the enemies. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite him in the ass. Anyway, here's the game. We start off in 1930s Egypt and oh boy, the controls are bunked. For whatever reason, the default controls for the stick are inverted, so let's switch that back to no, and oh, that's so much better. The gameplay for TimeSplitters is simple. You go to a point in time, go through the area, mow down enemies, find a trinket, and then make for the exit, with the exit usually indicated by a red circle on the ground. For the part where you have to find the time-related trinket, you can take your time. To sound overly redundant, but once you've found that trinket, you need to book it. These creatures, who are the titular characters of this game, will come out and give you hell if you take too long. That does not mean it's an automatic game over once you do encounter the TimeSplitters, but it is harder to take them out. You have to aim for a TimeSplitter's head and then blow their heads off in order to kill them. A shot to any other part of their body, which includes the shoulder and neck, will knock them down but they'll get right back up. So you have to deliberately aim for the right spot, and sometimes this game has wonky hit detection. Especially if you have a shotgun, so if you shoot a TimeSplitter in the head, make sure it's like at the top of their skull. If it's closer to the face or jaws, then that counts as a body shot and TimeSplitters will just get back up. You don't have to worry about these things with the human enemies though, they'll just die with any old gunshot to the face or body or hell, even the toes. These zombies are not TimeSplitters, but they have the same problem of having to aim for the head in order to take them out permanently. Anyway, I just collected the item for this timeline, the Ankh of Life, and here's where the TimeSplitters are going to spawn out of nowhere to get your ass. And it's honestly kind of tense whenever you collect an item and attempt to run out of the stage as quickly as you can, and the zombie is blocking you. Get out of the way! What was I saying? Mainly because the TimeSplitters do a massive amount of damage, it's honestly kind of terrifying. Even on the easy mode, which is the mode I'm playing on right now, he can still die very quickly. It's not like GoldenEye where the AI is brick stupid and they shoot every shot and miss. They're just like several centimeters away from you and they still miss their shots. No, these enemies are tough. The differences between the difficulties in this game mainly come down to level length. So if you're playing on easy mode, there may be an extra area somewhere that's blocked off. But if you're playing on normal or hard mode, then that area is opened up. You may even have to explore said area in order to get an item. Sweet, we completed Egypt. And we just got a new playable character, which I think is for multiplayer. This game does have multiplayer, and I believe it's only 2 players. Unless they had multi-tap back then, in which case maybe there was 4 players for this game? I'm not quite sure. If anybody knows for sure that there's 4 players in the original TimeSplitters, let me know. I know the sequels did it, that's for sure. Oh my load times. You know, for an early PS2 game, the loading times are not that gratuitous, so I give this game props. The only time this game loads is if you're going into a stage. Anyway, we're in 1970s China, and you're gonna see the weapons are a bit more advanced. We're using Uzis and M16s, and not blunderbusses. So the story of TimeSplitters is, if you can even call it that, there's really no story in the game. It kind of follows a non-linear path of levels and that's it. If you have the TimeSplitters user manual, maybe they talk about the story there. But I don't have the manual. Hell, I don't even have a physical copy of this. I'm playing this on the PS4, which is kind of a surprise that they re-released this. But there's still no Chrono Trigger. Anyway, since we're as close to the present as we're going to get in this game, I mean, no, there's still 2020. Yes, 2020, the fabled year of that event. The enemies are a bit more dangerous. You have more modernized weapons that do a ton of damage, and I think some of the enemies here have automatic shotguns, which, trust me, a third of your health gone if you get hit by it, so don't get caught on the side of a shotgunner. That will be a bad day for you. And it's only the second stage, too. This game has a really weird difficulty curve. Like, there's this mission halfway through the game that takes place in a haunted mansion, and that is the hardest campaign mission in the whole entire game, even harder than the final mission. And speaking of the final mission, it is piss easy. So yeah, it's not like the game gets harder or easier the more you play through it, it spikes. Difficulty spikes a lot. And I won't even call it spiking, it's like it spikes and dips. It's kind of like a heart rate monitor, the difficulty. Anywho, there are armor packs located throughout different areas on the different maps. They serve as a second health bar, and you will need that second health bar, especially for the mansion. The higher the difficulty setting, the more and more scarce the body armor will become. Kind of like GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. If you're sick of me referencing those two games over and over again, then I'm sorry, blame the people who made this game. Oh, wait a minute. Anyway, we have a 1970s briefcase, which is somehow important to us. I don't know, maybe it has plutonium in it or something? That's why it's important. As you just saw, the TimeSplitters are spawning in trying to take me out, and they do a lot of damage if they get their hands on you. And they can even shoot at you too, and that does a ton of damage. You kind of have to swerve around the TimeSplitters, otherwise it's FAFO, and that is not good, because if you die, you have to start the mission over. Granted, the missions are not too long, but just playing through a mission over and over again does get tiresome. Anyway, time to go to 2005. Oh yes, 2005, that was a good year. Batman Begins and Revenge of the Sith came out that same year. Wait, what else happened that year? Oh my god, that was 20 years ago. I'm 27, I'm getting old. Ah! Alright, I'm back. I just had to rethink my life choices up to this point. Anyway, welcome to 2005, which looks more futuristic than I remembered. Remember, this game did come out in 2000 and was probably worked on well before the end of the millennium, so yeah. We got a bunch of visionaries here. Though, to be fair, this is more accurate to 2005 than 2001 A Space Odyssey was to, well, 2001. Or even Back to the Future 2 in the future sections in that movie. We don't even have hoverboards still. I mean, we do, technically, but these hoverboards suck. I want the Back to the Future ones. 2005 Cyberden is going to be your first difficulty spike. You got a lot of enemies hiding in corners, and most of these guys will have shotguns or very heavy automatic weapons. And they hurt. So you gotta inch your way forward at points, and in the words of Captain Price, check those corners. That guy will probably kill you on your first playthrough. The weapons of 2005 are a bit of a mix-up between the modern weapons you would see today, and a bit of the sci-fi. The shotgun in particular is modeled after the Franchi, but you're gonna see like the pistol, for example, of this level looks a bit more like something you would see from Star Trek. This minigun I currently have looks like a combination of the two, sci-fi and realistic. I can't really pinpoint the exact model of this thing, so yeah. Once we get closer to the future, also known as 2020, weapons will become more laser-based. In fact, I think you even travel to a different planet too. TimeSplitters is pretty insane. I don't know much about the TimeSplitters lore. In fact, this is the only game in the series that I've played. And I do have the other two games. There's TimeSplitters 2 and Future Perfect. And there was apparently supposed to be a fourth game for the PS3 and Xbox 360, but that was axed. I think the reason why was because, well, Free Radical kind of went belly up in 2008, 2009. That was around the same time they were making Battlefront 3. There is a leak of the prototype that's out there on the internet. Oh wow, that's a risky nurse. And I've seen a lot of risky nurses. What was I saying before I got distracted by Miss Katie Nadir here? Oh yeah, there's a leak prototype on the internet of TimeSplitters 4. I've seen gameplay footage of it and, well, it's a prototype so I should be a bit more fair on it, but it looks kind of... Maybe it's the look of the game. They were trying to go for a more realistic style with TimeSplitters 4, and it just doesn't fit with TimeSplitters, if you know what I mean. I like the very blocky, very polygonal look of this game, and it just doesn't feel right to have the characters look ultra realistic, but maybe that's just me. That's probably why I like Doom 1993's art style more than Doom 2016's art style. Gameplay-wise, Doom 2016 beats 1993, but still, I like the original art style better. Anyway, I kind of got stuck rambling here. We're in 1950s village. I don't know which village, we're just in a village. And these enemies are zombified. You can pop their heads off and kill them instantly. And you gotta be careful because just like in the Cyber Den, enemies will hide in corners and they'll take no time to shave your health. You also don't want to fall into the water because that counts as an instant death. We got an hourglass. How appropriate. Now we need to rush back to the beginning of the area. And, oh god, I'm taking damage here. Oh, TimeSplitters! Oh, they're taking a bite out of my health. Oh, get me out of here. Enough of this shit. Sweet, we got an arcade bot that I'll never use. Anyway, time to go to 1985. We're going back to the future. Oh god, Lorraine looks a bit different than I remembered. What the hell happened to Doc Brown?
Let's roll.
Let's roll. Anyway, the chemical plant of 1985 is probably the second hardest level in the game. The enemies will start to become aggressive. Instead of hiding in corners, which some of them do hide in corners, they will just start to chase you down. You also have snipers and high perches who are pretty accurate at shooting you in the face. So what you want to do is you kind of want to weed these guys out of their locations. The AI, in this case at least, will run to your current location if you make noise. Oh god, that was a bad idea! You can exploit the enemies too. It's not quite to the same extent as the rare shooters on N64 though, because the enemies can still shoot over balconies and railings. But you can still lure them into easy traps. Now there's body armor in this corner, and the body armor can either give you a half blue health bar or a full blue health bar. I know in GoldenEye the body armors look different from each other, and that's how you can tell which type of body armor you're getting, whether it be the full or the half. I'm not even sure if this game or even Perfect Dark has that distinction. Not like that's important or anything. Hey, I see ya! I see ya. And apparently so did he, because he just took out my entire body armor. Ugh. You gotta watch out for turrets placed on walls. Preferably use your rocket launcher here. Or grenade launcher. Not a rocket launcher. What? If you got blown up from the front, how do you fly forwards? Implosion gun for the win! Now the important item is over here. And the good news is you're right next to the exit. Bad news is the TimeSplitters are spawning right next to you, so you gotta make it to the exit quick. And you just saw it right there. They took a good 3/4 of my health in just a couple of attacks. If I wasn't any quicker, I probably would have died there. Anyway, time for a bit of a breather level and Planet X 2020. Angel Perez, I choose you!
Ready?
Like I said before, I don't know the exact story of this game or the series. Like, are these time policemen and women going to these different times and they have to wear disguises, or are they actually from these time periods and they have to help this organization or something? I don't know. I know TimeSplitters 2 and Future Perfect get more into the story aspect, but I haven't played those games yet. I probably should. Oh my god, the body armor does look different from one another. I was wondering about that earlier, but it seems like that's the case. I guess I should talk about the music in TimeSplitters. It's pretty good. It's good. The soundtrack was composed by Graham Norgate, who worked on GoldenEye and Perfect Dark before this, and this sounds sci-fi techno-ish of the time of the 2000s. This track in particular, as well as the final missions track, sounds a lot like Futurama for some reason. Or is it just me? Maybe it's just me. But the soundtrack is very diverse too. Not only do you have futuristic music, but you also got like 80s sounding tunes, you got 70s sounding tunes, you got the Chinese sounding music from the second mission, which honestly is probably my favorite track in the game. It sounds a lot like Freedom Planet, or something that would play in Freedom Planet. But as good as the soundtrack is, I think my favorite of these first-person shooter soundtracks is Perfect Dark. And I'm also gonna say that GoldenEye is better than this soundtrack because I have nostalgia for that. Man, those pipe sounds. Those pipe sounds. If you play the GoldenEye game, or hell, even watch the GoldenEye movie, you know those pipe sounds. Anyway, that's Planet X down and over with. We only got 3 more stages to tackle. TimeSplitters is not a very long game at all. It actually kind of reminds me of another PS2 launch window, at least its launch window. I don't know when this game came out exactly, but The Bouncer. That game, if you knew what you were doing and you were skipping all the cutscenes, you could probably beat that within an hour. Maybe even less. This game, you can beat the easy and probably the medium mode in 30 minutes. So this game is actually more guilty of being short. Though I think the hard mode may give you a run for your money. Anyway, it's time for the hardest mission in the game, the mansion. This part is not so bad, is when you get to the mansion itself where everything turns to hell. Not only are the enemies zombified, but they also have guns. Shotguns at that, and they do a lot of damage. And I swear, these sons of bitches cheat with the shotgun because it's supposed to be a 2-shot, right? These guys shoot more than 2 shots in rapid succession without even reloading. So you might actually find yourself dying to some bullshit because the enemy has an advantage like that. And it's absolute garbage water. Just like this hitbox. There we go. Here's another one of my favorite tunes from this game. It sounds very Castlevania-like. And as you can tell, I love me some Castlevania. Still in a ongoing... That guy was headless, but he was still alive. Okay, that was weird. That was not supposed to happen. Oh god, I lost my train of thought. I was talking about Castlevania. Oh yeah, I'm currently doing a playthrough of the whole entire Castlevania series, or at least the 2D games. Though I'm still missing Legends. I gotta get to that. But next one is Circle of the Moon, which should be up sometime in September, if all things go according to plan, of course. Which I think I've done a decent job of because I've already recorded this half of the year's playthroughs. So, yeah. Stay tuned. So in order to kill these guys permanently, you need to pop their heads off, and the hitbox lied to me there. What the hell? The guys with the shotguns, you need to do the same thing, knock their heads off and kill them. But you can actually make the process easier by shooting their shotguns away from them, essentially disarming them, and they'll have to charge at you with their fists. Trust me, that's one thing you want to happen because they won't be able to shoot at you, and those shotguns hurt like hell. Not to mention that they are sometimes glitchy with the shotgun and can kill you before you can even blink. These guys can hide around any corner at any time, and that's not what I want. Jesus Christ, that's a good 20% of my health bar. What the f— My aim cursor was directly on the guy's head, somehow it shot way to the left. Make it make sense? Oh, this game does not make sense sometimes. And these are the things I catch whenever I'm watching the footage back and not actually playing the game. And, you know, post-commentating about the game afterwards. It's— the mechanics of TimeSplitters are wonky. They haven't really aged that well. Like, the aiming system, well, the auto-aim itself is very good. It's snappy, at least. The manual aim can be— it could leave a lot to be desired. So if you play something like the Modern Warfare games or Battlefield, and then you play this game, there's a night and day difference. Hell, if you play Doom, like the original Doom, and then you play this game, there's a difference. Doom has aged a fair bit better than TimeSplitters in my opinion, and that's probably because Doom is more simplistic, but still. You shoot enemy, they die. The toughness of the enemy is determined by their enemy type. That's Doom. It's fun. TimeSplitters, while it's still fun, is more complicated than just shooting the enemies and moving on. You have to actually aim for body parts and kill them. Kind of like Dead Space. Though with Dead Space, you theoretically can play the game as simply as you can and just aim for the body with all enemies, but it's going to be a whole lot harder if you do that. Now, the ending circle is right here, and I've actually died a foot away from this thing, because the TimeSplitters spawn right on top of that gazebo. And it was, without a doubt, the dumbest thing I've ever witnessed playing this game, or even in my life. It was just the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, it's time for Y2K. No, that's Y2J. We're going to 2000, and this is the docks.
Hang on. Yeah, give me 5. Okay, I'll do it.
That character introduction is pretty funny. In fact, a lot of the character introductions are funny. Captain Ash, you know, cheers. Yeah, that guy. He's probably my favorite. He downs a flask of whiskey like it's fucking Gatorade and is honestly genius. There's something that Rare, or I guess Free Radical in this case, but really just same umbrella. The way they do the British style of humor is hilarious. You know, the very dry, very sarcastic, almost kind of deadpan humor that you find in like Monty Python. Admittedly, it's not for everybody because it's, you know, it's called British humor and not general humor, but it works for this game. Anyway, here's the second to last mission, the docks. You would not know this is the second to last mission, but it is. You have a lot of wall turrets that you need to take out, and seeing as this is the present day as of 2000, you got a lot of advanced weaponry. What I'm currently holding is the famous assault rifle. And the reason why it's called that is because it's the best rifle in the game. And I think in real life, the famous is even still in service by the French army even to this day, which is kind of insane to think about, because this thing is over 50 years old. But hey, if it still works like a dream, why trade it in for something else? Yeah, I know my guns. Not a gun person though, and I probably know more about jets as opposed to guns, to be fair. Ooh, the assault shotgun. I think that's the Franchi Spas again, which I've used on the previous level, or Cyberden, not the previous level. I forgot the missions are paced in a very Tarantino-esque way of out of order, so yeah, nothing makes sense here. Or probably more appropriately, since this is a video game too, The Last of Us Part 2, which also tells its story in a really fucked up order. Anyway, we're not talking about The Last of Us 2 or Pulp Fiction. I've already done a playthrough of that. Well, at least The Last of Us 2. I still haven't watched Pulp Fiction. Well, I haven't watched Pulp Fiction in years, but that's besides the point. We got the briefcase. The briefest of cases, but there's nothing brief about this escape as we kind of have to run to the other side of the map. And the enemies here are kind of lame. Yeah, for the last 2 missions of the game, they're pretty easy. Even the TimeSplitters are not as intense. Sweet! Alright, now it's time to tackle the final mission of this game. It's going to be 2035 Spaceway. A year that we haven't seen yet. In real life, that is. A good 10 years from now. Already dating this video, but who cares? I'm gonna be 37 in 2035. Oh boy. Let's play as right. I mentioned earlier in the part that Spaceways is an easier level to something compared to the mansion, but I will say that the Spaceways is actually one of the easiest levels in the game, full stop. I think the reason why is because you're playing as robot characters and they seem to take more punishment than any other character in the game. You also have laser-based weapons, which does a ton of damage, and the enemies seem to be dumb. They just roll into your way, basically, and you can just shred them like tissue paper. And also, this track, this music right here, goes hard, for no reason. There's no reason for this soundtrack to be this good. What is happening? Why is everything so good? It's just too good. Anyway, here's the thing about Spaceways. It may be an easy mission, but you still have to deal with the TimeSplitters at the end. May not be as many TimeSplitters, but you still have to travel a fair distance without dying with an item. The item in question is going to be on the top floor of the Spaceways. You still have to deal with wall turrets, which I think those are the most dangerous things in this mission. Not the enemies themselves, but the wall turrets will actually probably kill you. And even then, if you're constantly moving all over the place, they won't hit you as much. Yeah, somebody did not program their turrets right. Here's the final stretch of the mission. All we need to do is go upstairs and go to the reception area. Oh my god, I just shot 2 innocent receptionists. I'm so sorry. It's not like they had guns and were trying to kill my ass or anything. Anyway, here's the item, which looks like a basket. And the TimeSplitters will spawn in front of you as you make your way to the exit. So, book it and gun them down. That was another innocent receptionist. They put a gun in her hand. I couldn't tell if she was friend or foe. And that was TimeSplitters. Yeah, a 30-minute game. You can, yeah. Just, yeah. I don't know what to say about that. You can beat the game in 30 minutes. I expected for GoldenEye or something of the sort, an early Sega Genesis game, but a PS2 game from 2000? No. I will say, fun game though. This is actually a very good FPS. Kinda janky, but what can I say? It's of its time. It's an early PS2 game. I'll give it credit. Give it some slack. Anyway, my name is Don. This has been TimeSplitters on the PS2. I'm not sure if I'll get to the sequels. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Or hell, if you want me to do the medium or hard mode of this game, let me know. I might do it eventually.